Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 11th, 2024 Planning Board meeting. First, we'll go through some general business. We'll probably talk about a couple of applications that are not part of the public hearing before 6:30, at which time we'll have the public hearing. We have 2 items on the public hearing, and we'll just adjourn for a few minutes so we can get up behind us in the dais and conduct a public hearing there. We'll also have a stenographer here by 6:30 to record the public hearing. So the first item on tonight's agenda is to approve the March 14th draft minutes. Any board members have any comments? I had none. And Laura wasn't there. So
Just the three of us.
just the 3 of us can vote. Did you have any comments, Barbara? No comments?
Mine
Gil?
either.
No? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the draft minutes? Second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Item 2, just a note that the Suffolk County Village Officials Association is having municipal training on May 14th at the Hilton Long Island in Huntington. It's the evening of May 14th for any board members or village planning and zoning people who want to attend that. So I think, Cindy, you have, is there a deadline to register for that, or? Okay. Okay. Anybody let Cindy know if you want to attend that. The next planning board meeting is on May 9th. And Cindy, did you say you have any public hearings yet on that? No, right? One public hearing. Okay, so we'll be meeting here again because there is a public hearing. We're talking about possibly having meetings, planning board meetings, where there are no public hearings at the Building and Planning Department on North Country Road, but that's to be determined.
Chairman,
Yes.
if I could, you had asked at the last meeting if we could have a representative from the ferry company come by and talk about their master plan or their
Yes.
plans for the future. So I've reached out to Fred Hall, and
Okay.
we're working on bringing him to the next planning board meeting, if that works out for the board.
Okay, that should be fine. And he's coming himself, right, Fred?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, as we discussed, if I could do a presentation on parking stall demand reduction at the next meeting, we would be prepared to do a small PowerPoint, short presentation,
Okay, yeah, that'll be good.
just to let you know.
Okay. Yeah, we can list those on the draft agenda when that's developed. Okay, at this point, I'd like to we have 2 new board members, actually. We were short 1 member. We were down to 4 people. We have a new full member of the planning board, Lee Rosner, and we also have an alternate, Dan Siegel. And I'm going to ask Lee, who's no stranger to the village, and Dan to just give a little introduction about themselves, a little background information for everyone. You push the button. Yeah.
Go.
You're good.
Well, for those that don't know me, I'm Lee Rosner. I have, and I go back a long way in this village. I was born and raised here. Went off to college, spent 10 years or so in the city, came back, raised my family, became a member of the zoning board, spent, I'm sorry, okay, a little closer. Spent, I think, roughly 8 years on the zoning board. I was chair for the last 3 or 4 years of that experience, and I went on to become a trustee in the village. I served 2 terms, finished up in 2014. I took a nice hiatus from doing official village business, and I'm back, and it's all my own doing. And not sure I know what I got myself into, but I'm looking forward to it, working with everybody here. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Lee. Dan? This is
Thank you. Thank you. Dan Siegel, thank you for having me here. I am a lifelong resident of the village. I moved here when I was 6 months old, and I went away to college, got married, divorced, back again. Professional planner with 20 years of experience. I currently work at Suffolk County in economic development planning. Used to work with Andy. We overlapped for a couple of years there. And I'm looking to give back to my home village, to help out and do what I can to help see our growth and occur in a sustainable way. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dan. This is really going to help. We have, occasionally we have absences of members, so I don't think we're going to be worrying about being shorthanded or not having a quorum for a meeting going forward. Okay, so we have some time before 6:30 in the public hearings, which will be Port Jefferson Commons, continuation of a public hearing. That's 1601 to 1607 Main Street. And then we have 250 East Main, which is Agrino Holdings is the property owner of that parcel. That's building some apartments over existing retail uses on East Main Street. So why don't we just jump into the first item on the work session and see how far we get before 6:30, and then we'll conduct the public hearings and then come back to the work session afterwards.
Mr. Chairman, that was the 7:30 delayed request. Earth Dog?
Is that the first one?
That's the first one?
Oh, it is, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm looking at the address and there's too many main streets. Yeah, okay, so we're going to delay that one to 7:30 at the request of the expediter for that project, Amy DeVito, who said she wouldn't be here till 7:30, so that's no problem. We'll certainly be here at 7:30. So why don't we skip ahead to the Mather Drainage Retention Area, and I'm going to ask Tom Borowski to give us the information on that.
I have some drawings, so I don't know, we might delay them out a little bit just to get an understanding of what's going on with that project. It's a little fluid right now. There was when this board approved the resolution for the work to begin at Mather Phase 1 and 2, there was conditions within that resolution that included my report about the DRA. And in that I did include the language in there about working with the Mather Hospital Northwell, as well as with their village engineers, VHB, who are here, about understanding what needs to be done to that DRA. With the work that has been done there, I just want to refresh everybody's memory on this. I have some. It's the recharge sump. Yeah. I'll use these small ones for now, if we can. Let's take a look at them. Okay. So, existing right now, going into that DRA, we have this portion of Mather's property going in. This is where the DRA is. This is the Country Road. We have part of the public work building that goes into that as well. They did add some drainage. There's some minor pools in there, and there are some of the private properties as well as the village roads. There was an agreement that was established, I think it was 84, Andy? Very loosely written, that needs to be rewritten. That's part of the condition of the prior approval. So with doing that, I'm working right now with VHB, the DEC, to understand what the requirement is for the rainfall amount. Right now, they're designing this to the 100-year storm, which is 9-inch rainfall. There is an exception in the code that we're looking at right now. I'm dealing with on some of my personal projects where you get relief from that on redevelopment. It's Chapter 9 within the New York State Stormwater Design Manual. And we have had positive feedback from them on this. So originally, unfortunately, I have to open up this. This one's easy. This is the whole Mather property. So what you see right now is in this yellow, Section E, that's going into that. All A, B, C, and D prior to that went into that RDA. All right, DRA, I'm sorry. Now, these are being handled by the storm trap that was installed, typical storm wells and dry wells that were installed throughout this. There is a portion that still comes up down here in this section E that does go in the back. But this has been relieved from that DRA. So the way the code is written and the way we're getting feedback from them is that we can design to what the original standard was, which is the 3-inch rainfall rather than the 9-inch, which is the 100-year storm. The only reason we're going through this exercise is to establish what needs to be done to that DRA. Once we establish what needs to be done to it, the other conditions come back into play. What needs to be done with joint agreements with Mather, with the village, shared liability, shared maintenance, things along those lines. But I'm currently peeling the onion, trying to determine, working with the DEC, to understand exactly what the requirement is for the DRA. The only area, new development in here, is this small section of parking that was formerly, we'll call it, not, it's undeveloped land, but it was calculated originally at a smaller rate to go into that DRA. The 30% of that went in there because it was not hardscaped. So I'm going to come up with those figures. I'm going to work with Andrew Kelly with VHB and Courtney Riley, and we're going to come to an understanding of that. And then we're going to have to work with the attorneys on both sides to understand the agreement that's going to be engaged with between Mather and the Village of Port Jefferson.
Okay, this doesn't work. So can you, so my understanding was that, again, I haven't looked at these in a long time,
That's why I want to bring everyone kind of up to speed. It's been
but remind me, these were all designed for a 3-inch rainfall, right?
originally the whole property had a 3-inch rainfall.
Right. So,
These, you know what, Andrew, what were the A, B, C, and D? What were they designed for? What rainfall? No, what you have now, what's installed? So they have 9-inch, they're under 9-inch?
okay,
Okay. Thank you.
great. So, great, okay, so that was my question.
So the other parts of this too, as you know, I think it was in 2020, the flood that happened down there. Now, we are reducing the area that is going into that DRA. That's one thing. The other thing is VHB went out and did some test sampling and borings, and once they got through the silt layer that's within the bottom of the DRA, we got much better drainage results. I think, what was it, 8 inches per hour? Yeah, 8 inches per hour, which is fantastic. So whether it's diffusion wells or wicking or cleaning up that silt, you know, something has to be done. That's work that needs to be done. That's going to be part of the agreement we're going to enter with Mather and Northwell on that, what needs to be done on that. Now, if we don't get the feedback we expect from the DEC and their requirements to do the 100-year storm, there are 3 options that are right now being proposed that increase the size of the DRA. All right, so yeah. We got to see what the DEC's requirement is going to be on that before we do that. It might require a little bit more clearing to deepening this, or possibly removing some of the village property or village commitment that's going into that right now, and having that handled separately. But those are the options that we're looking at right now. But we first need to establish what the DEC is going to require from us.
So is it E that goes into this?
Well, E is this yellow portion. Green is the village road that goes into it. Blue is the private properties that go into it. And this teal portion here is the part of the village property that goes into it,
And our
the DPW.
Our approval was, we weren't strict on what rainfall we were requiring it to?
It just said, we went through this in the language within the easement agreement that was established in '84, and there is no figure put on that.
The last couple, I'm sorry, the last couple of storms we had,
It's been contained. And we have noticed that the level of the DRA has gone down a little bit. And if we firmly believe that also wicking or diffusion wells through that to get to the good material, get rid of the silt that's the bottom, certainly help that condition that's on that as well.
Good question. Is that village property?
No, it's Mather.
Mather.
Yeah,
Got it. Understood.
right. And
That
the,
was an agreement that was established in the 80s.
right, an agreement that went under, okay. And the agreement that went under the first phase of this project was to establish a protocol and an action plan to deal with the flooding, and that's what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 2 things with the amount of rainfall we have to consider about designing. I'm going to speak just a little louder.
Anybody's mic.
Design against. What the requirement from the DEC is going to be, and what we think is practical for potential for
Right.
flooding.
Yeah, I mean, right now, you know, in simple terms, you've got a lot of silt sitting over really good sand.
Yeah.
And however you get there, as long as you can get there, that'll really help out. You know, the stories I've heard about what
Yeah.
caused it.
You wick through it and, you
Right.
know, it's, we've seen the condition of the excavation when they did the, for the storm trap.
Yeah, it's great material.
It's great
Yeah.
material. It's great material. Courtney has a question. Anybody else have a question here first?
I was just gonna say that at the 100-year storm, if we do capture the 100-year storm, as well as every single property that's proposed, that's, whether it be, you know, the offsite or just a roadway, the increase that we would have to go from that 75% of clearing is only 0.47%. So it's less than 0.5%. So it'd be, instead of 75%, which is what we're at right now, it'd be 75.45.
It'd be de minimis. Yeah, yeah.
That would include all of the village property, all of the village roadways, as well as some other private property that is dumping into the roadway and then into that DRA. So
And that would
it's
be clearing within the recharge basin.
clearing within the
Correct.
recharge basin. Again, it's a little,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's at 0.5% more, and that's at the 100-year storm, which based on, you know, while I know, want to maybe go back to the DEC at the end of the day, you know, we're in agreement with the DEC that we think it should be closer to the 100-year storm. There's just been too much rainfall.
So Andy, would they actually have to come back? Would they have to come back and get the whole site plan approved again?
At what point are you
Well,
asking?
the de minimis,
Well, we have to go
So
we have to go back to
per
zoning
the-
for that because it is already a violation.
So for the covenant
Right.
restrictions that are on the property right now, at our last site plan approval, it states that we are allowed to go over that 75% if it's for drainage purposes only.
That's correct.
So
yes.
that is in the restrictive covenant.
Right.
And,
Okay.
and if anybody's seen the condition of that DRA right now, the area that needs to be cleared is pretty much fallen trees, broken and dead brambles. It needs, the work that would be done to, clear out and increase the size of that DRA would beautify that section of the property.
Is it 75 or 65? Why is 65
No,
stuck in my head?
65 is the requirement. They got the variance to go to 75%.
Right now, you know, the way this is tied to, that we would have to redesign the plans and come to some agreement with the village on, whether it be how it's maintained, fiscal responsibility, all of that has to be approved in order for Northwell to get their C of O to open right now for their emergency department. So right now, we are under a time crunch. We have less than a year to go, probably in the 9-month range, where we are trying to open this emergency department. And we would need to design that, get that approved, and come to an agreement, you know, with the attorneys of what that looks like. You're under a tight.
Andy, do you feel that's something that could be extended potentially, if need be, as part of an additional condition?
Well, we could extend it, but I think that what the applicant is saying is that they're under a timeline that's being put on them by their
Is that
client.
by Mather? Is that timeline?
Right now, according to our covenants and restrictions, is that we cannot get a C of O for the ED until this is done.
Right.
So if you can,
Who's establishing that covenant and restrictions? Is it the village?
The village.
Yeah, so I think we have control over that.
But you want to get finished so you can address the hospital's concerns, right? The timeline on the hospital
we would like to open the ED in 9 months.
in 9 months.
The only way to do that per our covenants and restrictions is if this design is settled, as well as all the legal agreements, easements are in place.
I
So
think
if
that
you
can be extended.
waive-
I think we can extend that. We can
if you
speak to
could
Jim Burke.
If you could still give them the C of O and understand that this process may continue, then that's okay, but they need to open their emergency department.
I think we could work it out within that time frame.
But yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Has DEC been responsive on time or?
I was waiting to get the contact from VHB, but I will reach out to my contact that we've been dealing with. I have 2 projects, larger in scale. Right now I'm dealing with in Islip, where we've gotten approval from them on the redevelopment clause within the in the code.
because I would prefer that we do I would prefer that we do the 100-year storm. The only thing that would be, we would have to figure out how to word this so you're still on the hook for it, even though you have your CO. Right? So even though you have your CO, you can't just walk away. So I don't know how that
Understood.
works. It would be that would be,
Bond, right? I mean, I would think.
yeah, something. But I think we should work with you guys, but work to make it the best we possibly can, right? To
Understood.
just as you said, the storms have been,
We're under the impression that we should just hold the 100-year storm.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, as much as less would be less drainage and less cost to everybody, I think there's just been way too much rain and it's just increasing. So,
But the reason I bring it up and what we need to do here is one, I want to establish code and what is the requirement from the DEC. And at that point, if we want to go above and beyond, you know, the financial commitments and responsibilities for that, who's going to cover that portion of it? Because it does need to be, again, because the village is entering into a partnership now with Mather to do this, and where those funds are going to come from, if we go above and beyond what is required.
Well, if there's some change in the timing, it would be brought before us again to approve that change?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure.
Yes.
All right, cool.
okay, so I'm really sorry. I didn't think this was above and beyond what was required. I thought that's what we were.
Yeah. No,
We didn't require them to do a 100-year. the 9-inch.
Village requirement's not 100 years stuff.
I didn't think so,
The
but-
DEC has an exception within their code, within the New York State Stormwater Manual, redevelopment, that we get the reduction in that based upon redevelopment. It's not a new development.
I mean, really, once you get, and that's always what I've been fighting for, is once you get past that layer, however thick it is of muck, you have really good material, and this thing will just.
8 inches per hour
Yeah,
is an
you won't
excellent
have anything to
percolation
worry
rate.
about. It's just really, whether you scarify it or whether you drop a leaching pool through it, you know, that's.
What makes the drainage reserve area much larger is that there's over almost like 200,000 cubic yards from the village entering it onto the private property. So
Right.
if we didn't have the village property, to be honest, we could contain all of it within that DRA, scarifying the bottom. And what's causing it to get larger is to try to take on the village property, which is, 5+ acres of property. So what we're trying to do at the end of the day, and the village, the way it's connected, is the low point. So if it does fill up, you become
Oh,
the
without question, yeah.
overflow.
Gil, prior to 2020, how many flooding incidents were happening in that area with this?
I mean, my recollection, you have occasional flooding where it gets up into the road.
Right.
During severe storms. There was nothing like that one night that they spoke
Okay,
about where.
so that was the one storm.
Yeah,
So
so-
just as we talk about that, don't forget, all of this area has been removed.
Understood.
from it.
Yeah,
That
no,
was
understood. I
Previously
just-
contributing to it, and a
Right.
lot of that was hardscape too.
Right. But I mean, and I don't want to, I'm splitting hairs here, but, the recharge basin's been there a long time. The agreements have been there a long time. Climate change is changing things, and irrespective of who put what where, we got to address the stormwater. And
I agree.
that's really all I really want, so beyond that, yeah.
Okay.
I have one question. Do you have any sense of the differential in cost between a 3-inch rain structure and a 100-year flood structure, roughly?
We can look at some cost estimates. I do know when we were thinking about putting a infrastructure in, instead of a DRA, like actual infrastructure, like a storm trap system, it was about $4 million. But,
I meant the DRA, so.
no, I
I'm sorry.
understand. We could take a look
Yeah,
at
I don't
it.
think we're going back to the storm trap. And I don't think it's necessary at this point either.
The intention is to use the existing drainage reserve area, is to update the drainage reserve area, potentially make it wider in a de minimis fashion, and to maintain and take on village property as well as private property in accordance with the covenants and restrictions. How that gets divided up financially, how that's divided up from a maintenance standpoint, that's to be determined. And I think that's what's going to take the most amount of time.
Yeah. You know, as far as the village property, the private properties and whatnot, they're not, any of the work that's being done here is not, this is not causing it. That, their flow into that is not causing them to reanalyze this DRA.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry about the drawings.
Okay, it's a little after 6:30, so we're going to move up on the dais behind us, the five planning board members. There's no room. You just sit in the audience. Okay, we're going to resume now with we have two public hearings tonight. First is 1601, 1607 Main Street, which is Conifer Realty. It's the proposed building that'll be adjacent to the existing Port Jefferson Crossing building. The name of this application is Port Jefferson Commons. We've had multiple public hearing sessions. This is a continuation of the hearing. So what we'll do first is, I'm not going to ask Cindy to read everything in because we've already done that twice. I will say before we go to the applicant, though, I'm going to ask Kathleen Dixon to come up and just talk about what's happened since the last hearing and what additional village comments came from staff that needed to be addressed and how the applicant addressed them. Kind of summarize everything in that regard. But I would like to do first is just get some written comments that we received. These were all received in January, but they haven't been read into the record. Jennifer, Cindy has a clean copy. I have a marked up copy, but I'm just going to summarize the comments that were received. Initially, we got one comment before the January hearing, which was from the Port Jefferson Business Improvement District. That was a written letter in support, actually, of the project. We received an email from Layla Pinarli that in opposition. That was an email, and that was dated January 5th. We had a Port Jefferson Civic Association letter dated, actually this one was dated February 8th of 2024, which raised some issues. And like maybe the applicant to just cover a couple of those in the discussion of outstanding issues, if you can. If you don't have that handy, I can reiterate some of the key comments in there.
was that?
This was the letter from the Port Jefferson Civic Association, February 8th. There were some comments about architecture, density, open space, fire department access. Those were the key comments, and tax breaks, but we went through that. You're getting an IDA grant, if that's correct. Next is a email from Kelly Devine, January 15th. She's in favor of the project. Mason McFadden weighed in. He is also in support of the project. He's actually permanently disabled, and securing housing. He notes that securing housing on Long Island that is wheelchair accessible is difficult, and that's why he appreciates this project. We also had an email from Yuri Jadotte, Jadotte, dated Friday, January 12th. She was also in support of the project. Apparently she is a resident of the area who works at Stony Brook University. And then we had a letter from Virginia Capon at 11 Overton Avenue. I may ask you to cover a couple things that Virginia raises, Kathleen, but I can help you through that by letting you know what they are. And we had a note of support from Michael Mart, but he did ask that the planning board seeks the advice of the village parking committee regarding appropriate parking for residents and businesses occupying the site and its neighboring potential businesses. And last but not least is from John Russell. He is concerned about density and additional traffic, and asked that the projects be looked at cumulatively in terms of the projects, I guess, in Upper Port. So those are the written comments, Cindy, and then you can provide Jennifer with a clean copy of that she can add. And we probably call that Exhibit B. I think the first letter was Exhibit A in the prior hearing. So for those that are here, and I think everybody who is here has been here before, but the way we conduct the public hearings are we hear from the applicant, we hear from staff, we open up to the public. If you want to come up and speak, you get sworn in, and then you will address your comments to the board or questions. We will relay that to the applicant or whoever, if someone on the board might be able to answer your questions. But we also ask that you fill out a speaker card. Cindy has any cards. If anybody needs a card, just put your hand up. Okay. I just want to say, if you've spoken before at a meeting, have you spoken before? Oh, okay. So this is a new comment, so that's fine. You can come up, you'll get sworn in, then you'll be asked for your address or name and address, and then you can give your comment. Okay. That being said, I think we can get started. I don't know, if the staff want to weigh in first before Kathleen gets going with comments, or no? Okay, maybe Kathleen, just start by talking about the outstanding comments. And Kathleen's an attorney, so well, you probably know that. So she doesn't need to be sworn in.
Kathleen Deegan Dixon, partner in the law firm of Porcelli Deegan Tirana, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York. Here on behalf of the applicant. So we were last here at the board's February 15th meeting. We had requested an adjournment for the March meeting because there were some comments that staff and that the public had put out there that we wanted to have an ample time to respond to, and then give staff and this board ample time to review. So since February, we have received 2 rounds of village comments, both of which have been responded to, I think in a very comprehensive fashion. We've had several meetings with the planning staff, many phone calls, Zoom meetings, in-person meetings, where we've kind of gone through each and every comment received, from questions from the board, questions from the village engineer, comments from the village engineer, all of the public comment letters that the chairman just read into the record. Each one of those we've provided a detailed response to. The most recent response letter was our March 28th, 2024 letter, where we went through each comment one by one, from each of those individuals and entities. So I can hit some high points if you'd like when the time comes.
Sure.
But also since that time, on March 18th, we received conceptual certification from the Suffolk County Sewer Agency for the portion of the project that is located out of the sewer district. As you're aware, a portion of the property is in the district. Because the property consists of 4 tax lots, 2 of which are in the district, 2 of which are out of the district, and the way that they run, the property lines, the tax lot lines actually are coterminous with the sewer agency, with the sewer district lines. So they weren't able to incorporate the entire project within the district like we were able to do on Port Jefferson Crossing, because those lots went long, ours go short. So if that makes sense, they are horizontal versus vertical. But so we received the conceptual certification for 8,100 gallons per day of sewage to accommodate the out-of-district units. We are going to apply for formal approval as soon as we receive a secret determination from the village. We're hopeful that that will happen in the near future, maybe maybe even tonight. And then we'll be able to move forward and get the formal approval for the sewer gallonage. We've also, and it's reflected in our response to comments, have had engagement with the Suffolk County Water Authority to talk about where connections would be and where the water mains actually lie. We've been in touch with PSE&G to talk to them about connections and transformers and the like. As you know, we've met with the ARC numerous times. We had a recent, in the last couple of months, additional meeting just to go over some comments that they had that were a little bit at odds with some staff comments. I think that's been reconciled in the plan that's before you tonight. And then we received the staff report that's dated April 9th, just 2 days ago, that we went through pretty carefully. And I think that, I don't want to put words in staff's mouth, but I think that they're in agreement that we've pretty much responded to everything that's been asked of us at this time. Are there some specific questions from the
It might be good just to read a couple of, some of the key comments or some that's may appear to be significant that into the record that you have responses for, because, whoever made the comment might be thinking, hey, I thought that was a pretty severe comment. Like, what happened with that?
Right.
So I think maybe we could start with the civics. I don't think the architectural is a significant comment because you've discussed that with the ARC and staff. And so I don't think that's the density. Density is a comment, which if taken on its own, the project appears to be very dense. but in the, actually in the comprehensive plan, in an appendix, there is a close-up of the block where the proposed project is and your adjacent project as well. And it actually allows for more density than you're actually proposing. So it appears to be in conformance with the comprehensive plan. There was a comment about a recreational area or lack of open space. The recreational area, I guess you could take advantage of the both the 6-acre park and the Texaco Avenue, the small park there that's within walking distance. But actually, I guess, based on the size of the project in terms of acres and number of units, it's in conformance with requirements for, how much park space you should provide. I guess I'm answering all these things for you. All right.
If I could add to that, I think also,
If you want to jump in, that's fine.
just to mention that we expect to pay the village's parkland fee as well. So
Yes.
in addition to, that'll help augment any shortage of parkland that the village maybe experiences as a whole. But please continue.
Okay. There was a comment about the fire department equipment. My understanding is that's been discussed with the fire marshal.
We've had discussions with the fire department. I don't know if the applicant has had additional discussions, but I don't think that there are issues with regard to their apparatus, if that's a word, and their equipment. I don't think that there's a concern at this time.
Okay. It was a consideration, I guess, whether or not the ladder could reach the top of the building sufficiently to put out a fire. The other comments, I think, on that one are not significant, at least. I mean, they're in the record, but they're not, worth talking or relevant to be talked about tonight. And then the other was the letter from Virginia Capon. There's one, probably the one that hits you on the head is the first one that talks about this being phase 2 of the other project, which it might be a misnomer, and says that this is segmentation, but you probably can give a better explanation than I can as to why that might not be the case.
Well, certainly, it is a misnomer. I wanted to clarify that for the record early on. We use that sort of in a vernacular sense, a colloquial sense, to say phase 2, because they're related entities that will own the two projects. But at the time the first project was built and approved, this wasn't even a gleam in anybody's eye at that time. So this was not part of a larger project that we had segmented. Also, the as far as SECR goes, the village conducted a full GEIS process, a full SECR process, culminating in the GEIS and findings when it did the comprehensive plan for 2030. And we have submitted a consistency analysis where we go through point by point how this project is consistent with the findings in the GEIS, and that we expect no additional impacts that were not already contemplated. So I think that it's without basis to say that this was improper segmentation or that the secret process has not been adhered to.
Okay, and then there's comment about density, which we already discussed, some landscaping comments. It talks about some outdoor space on the property, and I guess you have something on the top floor, right?
Yes, there's an outdoor balcony that's adjacent to the great room, common room up on the 3rd floor. And that's for the private use of the residents of that building.
Okay. Additional comments about parking. There's comment about parking, that there shouldn't be any payment in lieu of parking. I think you're only looking for payment for, it was a minimal number of spaces, right? Pileup on this?
You meant the number just
13,
changed.
13.
It's
Oh, it's
13.
13. Okay.
Yes.
Out of a total of about, that you are providing?
We're providing 59.
59,
I'd say.
okay. So
Yes.
much, a small, relatively small percentage of the total parking.
And I would like to just add that the experience on Conifer Crossing is that the parking that's provided on site for the residents is very under subscribed. Because these are workforce and affordable housing developments, the demand for parking is generally less. There are units where most people, if they have a car, there's one car per apartment at most. The transit-oriented nature of this project minimizes the demand for it. And we've also agreed that for the commercial tenants, if we expect to have an excess of parking within the parking garage, we can allow the commercial tenants and their employees to park there. So that would minimize any demand for on-street or public parking areas for the commercial uses.
Okay. Okay, and then there's also talk about loading and unloading. And what do we decide on that? We have one space on Perry Street,
So on
is it?
Perry Street, there's a proposed loading area, which we can limit the time. I think it's up to the village to limit the time of loading.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the idea to keep it as a short-term, FedEx delivery, Uber Eats, that type of thing. And then loading for the building residents, when they move in and move out, will be through the lower level, through the parking garage and through that elevator. And we've confirmed that the size of the elevator is large enough for people to move in normal apartment furniture.
Right.
And it's sized for a hospital gurney, an ambulance gurney, so for emergency services,
Okay, that's good.
they'll be able to accommodate that.
Okay. All right. I don't think I have anything else. Any board members have any questions of Kathleen? Nothing, huh?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm jumping in very late to this application. I realize that, but I read through the minutes from the last two meetings, and I just had a question on the mix of 50% and 90% rentals. What is the actual percentage at 50% and at 90%?
The number of units at, you're gonna have to bear with me, I don't have that. And my client was not able to be here tonight, he's the one who has these numbers right off the top, so. Yeah. Do you have any, 50? Awesome. Okay. We've got. All right, so 5 units will be at 50% of the area median income, 32 units at 60%, and 15 units at 90%. And this is a higher income level overall than the adjacent property for Conifer Crossing. This is a true workforce project where that was a mix of workforce and affordable.
Wow, okay.
And I'm sorry,
Sure.
making me think. Do you have set aside for disabled at all? Disabled adults?
So Ken Garvin is here tonight. He's with the architecture firm that drew the project. He's telling me that 10% of the units are handicap
ADA.
accessible or
Right.
sensitive. So 3 one-bedroom and 3 two-bedroom units that are ADA.
Thank you.
Okay. No other questions from the board? Staff have anything, Kathleen? Any questions?
No, we've been working with the applicant vigorously,
Yes.
if you will, and I think we've pretty much come to terms on all the issues that have been raised. So we have no further questions for the applicant at this time.
Okay. At this point, we'll hear from the person who signed up to speak? Come on up. Or you changed your mind? You heard what you needed to hear? Okay. All right. That being said, shall we discuss the secret resolution during the hearing or afterwards?
I would close the hearing. I would close the hearing for
Okay.
the seeker, and then do the seeker.
Okay.
That works.
All right. All right. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion to close the public
Can I
hearing.
get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
We're
very
gonna,
much.
we're gonna move back down and we'll continue with the work. You have a mic? Yes.
250 East Main Street, Site Development Plan and Conditional Use Application. Application number PB-0069-23. Suffolk County Tax Map Number is Section 12, Block 3, Lot 7. Zoning is C1 Central Commercial District. Property owner is Agrino Holdings LLC, care of Louis Antonou. Applicant is Agrino Holdings LLC, care of Louis Antonou. Contact Melvin Gonzalez, RAAIA. Description, site plan and conditional use permit application for the proposed development of the site with the first floor of the existing structure to remain as 2 retail land uses and conditional use permit from section 250-18B8 restaurant with some modification of entryways and a new stairway in the rear of the building. The second floor will consist of a new building addition over the existing building and include 3 new one-bedroom dwelling units.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
that was perfect.
Okay, if you give us an introduction to the
My
project.
name is Mel.
Yeah, you need to get sworn in first. Yeah.
Name is Mel Gonzalez, MIG Architect, PLLC.
Is it-
Can you hear me? Is that better?
Gonzalez of what?
MIG Architect, PLLC. It's 200 Corporate Plaza, Suite A102, Ilandia, New York, 11749. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
continue.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. As Ms. Suarez has described, we're proposing to do 3 apartments on the second floor of an existing one-story retail area. This application was actually approved by the board at one time back in 2015. So we're essentially revisiting the same application several years later. To keep it simple, nothing has really changed in terms of the what we're proposing as far as apartments. The only difference that we made was to raise the second floor so that we could build it over the existing roof structurally. The height of the building remains the same. The look of the building remains the same. There was discussion about parking, and there was an agreement that was agreed upon back in 2015 between the municipalities of Brookhaven and the village, where the village actually had an increase of 30 parking stalls. Okay, so my understanding is that the parking complies with what we're proposing with respect to what's required for the units. And we meet all the other requirements in terms of setbacks, height, area, so on and so forth.
Okay. All right.
Any questions?
Well, first thing is that we had some comments from the Architectural Review Committee. I don't know if you've seen them. They just came in
Just saw them today.
yesterday.
Yes.
Did you see anything there that,
It's pretty straightforward. The only difference that I noticed was besides the color and also modifying the parapet. We had a slight roof pitch on it, like a mansard.
Yeah.
And what they're suggesting is a parapet that aligns with the historical structure at the corner.
Which is the tax building
Right.
on the corner.
So
right.
I've spoken with my client about it, and he's not opposed to making that change.
Okay. I did notice that they have one alternative there to bring the building immediately adjacent to the building to the right and not enclose that space and have it abut. But I recall public hearing when we had it back 2014 possibly.
Yes.
The occupant of that apartment was pretty adamant about not doing that because he needed to see some sunlight and have a
Exactly.
little view on that side of the building. So I think that, not, that's just my opinion from reading it, but I think that's fine to leave it as you had
Yeah,
proposed, it, leave the
statement is-
gap in
yeah,
there.
Your statement is correct. There are some windows along the west side of that adjoining building, and they did not want the natural light to be eliminated.
Right.
So what we did was we created that basically 3 foot, I believe it's 3'10" in width,
Chairman.
just to allow the natural light to filter in. Yes.
Yeah, we've got the,
The proposal's up on top, the recommendation from the ARC is on the bottom, and you can see the opening.
Yep.
Existed up
Correct.
yeah, they had an alternate recommendation on the following page that showed that closed up, but that was just a suggestion.
If I'm not mistaken, when I read their comments, they did mention that just bringing the face of the building up to the other building, not enclosing the back portion of it. I don't know if that's doable, but that's what the ARC, that was my understanding of their commitment.
Okay.
So this way there would be some light that would filter down, but it would look like a
So it's
continual.
attached and it looks like it's contiguous.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not opposed to that.
yeah.
That can certainly be done.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a facade. Yeah.
I had one
Sure.
question. So this was a long time ago, and I haven't had a chance to actually look at the plans that were submitted when we made the approval. But my memory was there was not a restaurant use approved. I guess I'm wrong. But where is the grease trap planning to go? Because I remember that being the main issue with approving the
Yeah, my
restaurant use.
understanding is that anything that is currently there and existing is in compliance, from my understanding. We are not doing anything in terms of any work on the retail stores down below. Everything is just on the second floor. So I'm not sure what you're referring to as far as the grease trap.
Yeah.
There was, on the first floor, there was an application at one point to create a donut shop.
Okay.
And that brought in the need for a grease trap.
Okay.
So as long as you're not improving anything on the first floor.
Right.
Or, making it different than what it is right now, that's how they skirted around the
Yep.
grease trap.
Yeah, I don't know how the word restaurant got
Oh, it's in here?
incorporated into this approval. That's where I'd
I
like
didn't
to
see
go
that.
back and look at that history because
I do
It
have
was
the
never-
owner, the landlord here, so
Yeah.
he might be able to speak to that.
okay.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, come on up and you need to get sworn in. And you filled out a card, but you didn't have to because you were with him, so that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I do. Luis Antonio. Antonio. Yes, now the word restaurant, I'm not sure where it came from either. It's possible that it came because when we initially started years ago, we requested it. But then we were turned down and we didn't want to slow things down, even though we were prepared to put a grease trap on the property outside the building in the alley, customized to whatever the requirements were. But to simplify matters, we walked away from that. So in this particular application, the restaurant has nothing to do with it. So the other thing I meant to say is that, as a question, you mentioned that there was a recommendation where the building can be attached to the other one. The only reason we went this way is to be courteous. Initially, we wanted to go, from the development point of view, it makes sense for us to go all the way through, but to be courteous to the neighbors, because you made such a big fuss about seeing the moon and all the lights and all that, we did this. Do you recommend, would the village be happier if we extended it to look as one?
I think as Mr. Anderson noted, that extending just the facade of it,
Okay.
would
that's
be
fine,
nice,
that's
and then
fine.
leaving the-
Cosmetically, it looks great.
yeah,
I agree. So that's no problem.
okay.
But the objective is not to be challenging the village. The objective
Mm-hmm.
is to really work with you and see how we can improve things.
Right. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Deirdre?
Okay, I have the previously approved plans, and it does note that the 250 East Main Street, first floor, change of use from office to retail, so it doesn't note the restaurant anymore.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
I do
Barbara?
have a question.
Sure.
The entrance to the apartments upstairs is at the far left door?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and is that the only entrance and exit? Or is there a door?
It's a bit,
The far left is the handicap entrance to Caden Hale, which is
Okay.
the corner.
Uh-huh.
The one where the person stands, no, go to the right, that one. That's the door to upstairs.
Okay, is there a back door? Because I'm wondering how the tenants upstairs take their garbage out and how that's collected. Is there a dumpster that they use? And if there is a dumpster for the building that they use, do they come down to East Main Street in the front? And do they have to circumnavigate the buildings to get there?
I think the design now, that's how it will
Yes.
be.
they will have to come down the stairs, main stairs there, come out through the front, and then bring it around back.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just to that point, has the fire marshal been, or will the fire marshal be part of any discussion? Because it just seems, that you would have a second means of egress in case of a fire, something like that.
Well, it's not required based on the New York State Code.
Oh, okay.
We meet all the requirements in terms of distance of travel for
Okay.
egress. And we have on our drawings, we have the diagrams that denote that.
Okay, good.
So it's not even close to requiring a secondary means of egress.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
The fire marshals do review as a matter of routine, the fire marshals
Yes.
do review the plans and make comments.
All right.
I do have one more question, I'm sorry.
Sure.
No.
On the second floor with that railing, does it have any other function than to give the other buildings some breathing space?
Yeah, it's just aesthetics, that's it.
Can the tenants in the eastern half of the building access the roof if they want to?
Only if they go out the windows.
I've done that in my days.
Anyone can climb out any window on any elevation.
Okay.
So if
And-
they choose to, yes, yes,
Okay.
to your point. Yeah.
So then on the northern part of the roof, there's another railing to keep people from,
Yeah, right now, everything is pitched, in other words, for runoff.
okay,
Okay, in that alley, as well as the roof itself. We can provide railing on that side, just to make sure, from a safety standpoint, if you're concerned about that.
in case, yeah, in case somebody does choose to
Absolutely.
go out the window and,
Yeah, you never know.
you never know.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be a nice view of the harbor if they did.
Yeah,
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, do you have a rear elevation we can look at?
there is one on page, let's see. Page A8. It's a pretty basic rear elevation because it's the alley. There's a lot of utilities back there. And then there's also egress for the retail stores.
I
Nice clean look. Spotless.
A8.
Should be in there. What's that now? A is an apple, 8. Yeah, because there's 17 drawings actually in the set. While they're trying to pull that up, I had one question. With respect to the recommendations on the color, is that something that we have to abide by, or is there an issue with maintaining the white color, which was, the intent was to match what was, I believe, a historical hotel or something from the past?
We haven't had a chance to board to, but we typically go with the ARC's recommendations on color. So if you can do that, that would be better.
Just asking.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if you've had a chance to read it, but the ARC put in a little bit of logic behind their recommendations for the color.
Okay. There it is
On the top left. Yeah.
But again, that's going to match more what the ARC recommended in the.
Right. Yeah,
The
whatever
thing that I noticed the most was the absence of the mansard roof.
Yeah, whatever the recommendation is, we'll comply with that.
Low level is for storage only, I presume?
When you say lower level
I
basement?
see,
Yes, yeah, that's all just storage, unfinished.
Okay. Other questions? Anyone else in the audience want to speak? No. Okay. All right. I'd like to take a motion to close the public hearing, but what we're going to do is wait 2 weeks to see if any comments come in from anybody who might have been here and thought about it later, or anybody watching right now who wants to send something in. They can be sent to the Building and Planning Department or dropped off on at North Country Road. So can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
All motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you for your time, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, now we'll move back down. resolution for that one, and then we'll continue with the next item on the work session agenda.
They have trash, and they probably have a garbage disposal handy for that little project. Like 3 units, but
It's probably on the cover sheet. Probably, but I don't know for sure. These look like architectural drawings, though. Yeah. Code compliance.
You just left the mix and how many one.
Yeah.
No, they told us that. I'm just, I'm worried, care about what are the square footages?
Oh, sorry. The square footages are
Okay.
per, you're looking for the habitable space? So this is, yeah, so this is what they gave us. So they went through, yeah, we looked at all the dimensions for it. So this is where we all put in the non-habitable space. So this is the habitable space. They're outlining it, but still keeping the egress not counting towards it, bathrooms, closets not counting towards it, things like that.
That's interesting.
And the totals are on the
Yeah,
bottom.
that's the total habitable
But it
space.
still means.
But what's the
Yes.
total unit size? They didn't show that.
That's on like the other
On the other
pages.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
this is just
408 square feet plus
Right.
this.
Well, yeah, right.
Mm.
So they're
Yeah.
probably like
This is a cool side.
600
Yeah.
square foot
Yeah.
units.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, they're around 600, 700 usually.
Yeah.
Building, and they were, but it seemed large when we toured the project crossings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had closet in it.
Yeah.
I like this. Corner unit.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an interior corner unit, I believe.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I think that's looking out.
Okay, we wanna,
There's other plans too, if you want to look at anything else. These are just the more recent plans that was in between the February meeting and this meeting.
Right,
This is what they
had
updated.
promised in the February meeting that there was, common
Yeah.
outdoor space, and I just want to make sure there was
Oh,
common
yeah,
outdoor
yeah.
space.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was there.
Full set of CDs.
Yeah, we have that. This is just what was changed. These are like the 5 ones. Yeah, they were sent previously. This is just from February, the changes from February. But I have a full set behind me as well.
Yeah, just email
Talk on that. Okay. Right.
It's off.
these are going. Oh, on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's what, mine's on. Okay,
Do you want me to?
yep, yeah. So you still have paper.
Wait, I just want to see, this is the underground, these are all
yeah.
parking's under.
So this was something else that was changed
Not all
from
of it.
February.
Come outside.
No, this is the basement. Yeah,
Is there any parking outside? There is parking outside.
on the street. Yeah.
In the back of the building now? Or is that where the loading?
All underneath.
Okay, no, this goes right out to the street. So this is it.
Yeah, so one of the changes that happened here is that they had a parking space over here and it shortened this width to 16 feet, I believe. And that was just very close and it just wouldn't
Yeah.
make sense that people would be parking here and probably trying to get in the elevator and move
Yeah.
things. So they took that out. So this will be a bit wider, allow more access for the handicapped.
So they lost a spot?
Yeah, so originally they had proposed 60 spaces underneath. That's where they went down.
So they have to
to
go a
59.
little more to the.
They added the elevator. So now there's an elevator dedicated to this one.
Right, well, they had an elevator, it just, we weren't sure.
Service elevator. So no service elevator.
This elevator was always here, it was not dimensioned out. It's them to dimension that out, and it is large enough to serve as a service elevator. You
Okay.
can get a hospital gurney in there, you could get couches.
But there's only one elevator.
We weren't
for the
sure about
entire-
that, yeah.
They had to use the one next to it.
Part of the proposed
But there's only one
resolution
elevator
had
in the
them
property.
planning an easement with this property because there is a freight elevator that's like right here. So that will be a easement that they'll create to share that for the retail spaces though.
But
That's
how are they
mostly
gonna
just
get, how are they gonna use that freight elevator, that freight
The
elevator?
buildings
are connected,
There's an opening
not
between
at
them.
this level, but above.
I think might show it on the next plan.
Is it only on one floor?
Yeah, so it's the connection to Port Jeff Crossing.
It's just not connected to the parking garage, but it's above.
It's just for the retail space to bring in.
Speaking of which, where
there's
is this the first floor?
Yep.
This is the retail?
This is the retail. So they'll enter from the freight elevator. There's a, they'll upload here, bring it up to a service.
And there's a service car.
Yeah, then come in through that way. And it'll just be for the retail space.
And can you tell me why it was abandoned, that they're gonna divide?
They are going to, it's just they don't have the tenant promised in the space yet, so they don't know which, if both of them will need it, if one of them will need it,
So the
that's what
way
we
I
don't know.
read it though was, hey, this is our application, we're done. If we ever wanna come back for a restaurant, we have to go through this whole process again.
No, they just have to amend the map for the use term.
Okay.
Not to go through the whole process.
As long
But
as
they-
Yeah, and it's in the conditions on the resolution.
And
that
the
if
use
they have
term
to put it in, they'll.
might have been in the street, but there was some issues, so they're looking to see if they can bring the grease trap in the building, in the retail part of the building, so they're still working.
Yeah, I sent them, we did it, as a project. That's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Really.
You know. I mean,
We're trying.
What is here on the above, is this just a roof?
Probably just one of these.
Yeah, this is a roof over the parking garage.
What are these people looking out to?
The building next door.
But like, what's the surface material gonna be? Do we know?
It's, my understanding, it's just a TPO roofing membrane.
oh, I thought it was a green, I thought it was.
You can put a green on that, but I didn't see, I didn't see mention of that within the drawings. Originally, I thought, and there was discussion about making that accessible, like green and all that, but I don't see that right now on there.
But you just know someone is gonna climb out their window on this
Well, there is access to it too for maintenance and,
maintenance.
oh, I'm sorry, it is green. My apologies.
Yeah, because I
It is green.
thought that.
It's a TPO underneath, it's the green that goes on top. So it's what it is the TPO is the membrane, it's the, Jennifer presented this, a couple like a protection board, a drainage board, and then the green material goes on top of that.
You may recall, we went back, recalculated, and relooked at the drainage on that.
We did.
We changed the coefficient on that.
Yeah.
We increased the coefficient.
We asked them to increase that because they originally wanted to get the exception of like typical outside grade. And you get a 70% reduction in requirement for drainage when that happens. But in this case here, it only goes down a certain point where it reaches that impermeable, that TPO layer, and it can't be absorbed anymore. So we had them increase the capacity on the drainage.
And below this is the garage.
Correct.
Okay. Right.
Hope they find a retail tenant.
Yeah.
Has anyone moved in yet, the retail next door? No.
No, they have not.
I think one of the last meetings, there was a discussion that the landlord for that, because it's a little bit different, that side,
Ownership, right?
the ownership is still, for the retail, is still through the original landlord, not through Conifer. But the landlord committed to putting in a little more effort to get somebody to try and come in there, other than just the sign out front, So, yeah.
No, that's something.
Yeah.
So that was in the retail.
I've been working with Roger Klein, Donald, can't think of the broker. So I've been working with Roger Pine and the real estate broker there. We've talked about actively getting somebody in there. They're entertaining somebody right now. The issue is there's no street parking. So we have taken a sidebar on that, and we've been working with MTA, trying to find some short-term parking for over there. We're re-looking at other aspects of Conifer One, I should say, to try and get parking in there. For this applicant, there's street parking along the side for quick retail, and the Perry Street lot is behind for long-term. So the retail component here didn't express as much issues as the retail, as the first Conifer project. Not the first phase, the first Conifer.
First project.
Okay. Will we turn our attention to the secret resolution draft that we have? And want to read through that and we see if we can get a Yeah.
Keep it if you want.
See if we can get some input and possibly a vote on this tonight. You'll note that when you get to the second page, that it refers back to the comprehensive plan and the environmental assessment that was done for that plan. And the number of units is in there, the 33 one-bedroom and 22 bedroom. Yeah, I know, that, I didn't even notice that, but Andy picked it up. References to several appendices in the comprehensive plan. Everybody through it?
Yep,
All good?
I'm fine.
Okay. And a motion to approve the secret resolution for Port Jefferson Commons.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
4-0.
Yeah.
Barbara.
Okay, let's back up to 250 East Main, similar resolution for the environmental. Let's read through that, and then we'll get back to the work session agenda. We have a draft resolution for going back to Port Jefferson Commons, but we're not ready to, I think if you guys can take this home and before the next meeting, we'll talk about it next meeting, read through it, see if you have any comments on it. But we're going back now to 250 East Main, the environmental resolution.
Not to be dense, but you want us to review the resolution or
The draft resolution
Okay.
for, yeah,
250 East Main Street? Okay.
No, the draft resolution for Port Jefferson Commons.
Okay.
As homework till the
Yes,
next
okay.
meeting. And we'll talk about it at the next meeting.
Got
With an eye toward adopting it at the next meeting, May 9th. But now we're going to focus on the secret draft resolution for 250 East Main. This will refer us back to the prior history on this project.
So with the thing that I noticed most glaringly in the secret declaration for 250 East Main was anywhere it says restaurant, that needs to be taken
Yeah.
out.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's several places. I'm sure you can, okay.
Good pickup. Yeah, yeah. They were bringing them in on trucks. and-
Yes. So it's just above retail, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
It's just above retail. Okay, so we strike the restaurant
So it was only once, sorry.
and restaurant takeout.
Okay.
Oh, it was only once? In first paragraph?
In the fifth paragraph.
And the fifth, okay, twice. Got it.
Oh, now I understand everything. I just kind of-
Okay, let me know when you get through that.
This paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
it says, in the bottom third, it says, about stairways and a stairway in the back.
New stairway in the rear of the building in the fifth.
But
Probably to the
there
basement.
is no stairway in the rear of the building?
Might go to the basement, the storage.
Yeah,
Is that
So-
internal?
yeah, it would be, I think it was internal,
Inside the building?
Inside the building?
Yeah.
I believe, but we
Well,
should check, yeah. Just,
Yeah, there's,
Well, if there's gonna be a stairway for the 3 units to be able to get to the basement, why can't they put the garbage down?
well, then somebody's got to bring the garbage out to the street. Can you hear us? Or, speak into the mic. Yeah. The question was, if the folks who live there have to bring the garbage down the stairs to the street, why not bring it down to the basement? And again, becomes getting it from the basement to wherever the trash receptacle is.
I imagine there'd be a building manager or super or the landlord.
I don't think you want to put garbage in the building.
Right, I don't
You run
think-
into
yeah.
Alarming,
Right.
rat problems, things like that. I think they're gonna have.
Use mic, sorry.
Where's the garbage for the retail?
Do
First,
you know what that is right now?
You can pick it up, just give it the whole thing. Yeah, there you go, wow.
Retail. If you look on the plans,
But do you know where the garbage is?
I think it's in the back.
Probably in the back.
Yeah.
Probably use the, like we did with the halal place, the bigger
Right,
containers with the big covers. There was no room there to fit the dumpster
Right.
enclosure.
right.
So, it's a
But-
small enough project where a dumpster, I don't think was warranted on this one.
No, but I think, I know previous discussions was that there were dumpsters at the northeast corner of the building near the parking lot.
That I have to look back into.
I'm pretty sure that's where they,
There might have been a shared agreement on that.
I'm trying to picture it in my
oh, here we
mind.
go. So, yeah, that's the building we're looking at. The dumpsters, I believe, are right where you are now, right in that area there.
That's where the existing dumpster is for the current retail.
Correct. I believe so.
Why, is there not a reason that the 3 residential units can't put their garbage in that dumpster as well?
Think that's what they would do.
I think that's.
Yeah, but they have, rather than, they'll have to come down the stairs in the front and walk with their garbage however they get there to
But they
that.
have access.
Yeah, they can go,
through in-
right.
They could go into the basement, could they not?
Yeah.
Oh,
To walk with it, yeah.
as long as, right.
From the residences to go to the basement. That's only for one retail can go to the basement, or both retails can go to the basement.
Okay.
But the residences have to go into the retail to go to the basement.
Okay,
You can't do that.
got it.
So only the retail spaces can go to the basement.
Got it. Yes. Understood. Yeah.
Yeah. That was, and they also, one of the issues with doing that, even if they could, was that alleyway that originally was open is now locked, I believe.
No.
Oh, it's not? They opened it? Okay,
It's
cool.
open.
Can you go back, please, to the?
But I don't see how this is any different than any other
No,
of
absolutely. Yeah.
the residential units above.
Yeah,
Retail? Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want grease traps or garbage underneath the house because, something happens, all of a sudden that just sits there and it gets,
What do the residential units do over at Chandler Square or any of the other smaller buildings?
I believe they'd probably do the same thing, is that they walk their garbage down and find whatever dumpster is associated with that building, so, yeah.
And I think when we made this approval the very first time, there was discussion that there was going to be some sort of a trash district
Right,
Yeah, that was.
for the village.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of
right.
fell apart.
You know, some of my questions came up because when I was uptown, the building next door, they had to walk all the way around, and they had to walk 2/3 of the block to get to their dumpsters. So every once in a while, I would witness somebody stepping out onto their balcony.
Sorry.
Stepping out on the balcony and chucking their garbage. You know,
Basketball style?
basketball style, yes, thank you.
All right, any comments on the secret resolution other than striking the restaurant and takeout uses on the first floor?
I didn't have any other
No
comments.
comment?
No, looks good.
Good? Good. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the secret declaration resolution as amended?
I'll make the motion to approve as amended.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'll vote on this one.
Oh, Lee's gonna
Yeah,
vote.
I'll vote on
Okay,
this one.
5-0.
I made the motion and Laura seconded. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we're caught up. Let's go back to the work session agenda. And actually, the first, I got this on the backside, so 1515 Main Street, so that's Earth Dog, correct? So,
They're here, right?
okay, so we're looking for an update, that's correct, from staff?
Yeah.
Okay, let's have that first and then,
No, the applicant did submit something earlier this week. We requested a narrative of the changes. We haven't received that yet, so I did not include that in my staff report.
okay,
So this is based upon the prior submission. They did go in front of the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees did not, for the pileup, the Board of Trustees did not approve the pileup request. And the information we got back from them was that the applicant should pursue all administrative remedies prior to going for the pileup, which would include but not limited to a zoning variance. And again, I will review the other one, the submission we received this week when I get the narrative.
okay.
That
And-
describes the changes.
They are scheduled to be at the zoning board?
No, we have to
Or
make a
they not?
referral.
Oh, okay, so we need to do that now.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
Okay,
Okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
so they are scheduled though, right, Andy? We
If
here?
they made an application, we would schedule them for the ZBA after they filed an application.
No, am I allowed to just?
Yeah, come on up. Come on up, Amy.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Hey, Amy. You can take his chair.
By a microphone.
Hi, Lee.
Hi, how are you?
I don't know if I said-
3,000 quarts here.
All right. Okay, so I have, oh, Cindy, I have 4 prints. I have 4 prints with me to give you. So we have Tom Volpes here, the architect who designed the site plan. He could, if you guys want, just do a quick description of what changes were made to the plans, you know, from the most recent submission. But I just wanted to talk about just a couple of points. So we did go to Board of Trustees for potentially getting PILOP approved. They denied it. The basis of their denial was for us to exhaust all administrative remedies prior to approving. This is like so sensitive. Prior to approving PILOP. Yeah, so with that said, I had been discussing with Mr. Freeling recently that I had some memory of some PILOP stuff from many years ago, which only because I had happened to have been involved in it. What I discovered was that there was minutes from 2020, a resolution where the PILOP fee was changed from $6,500 per spot to $500 per spot if you weren't increasing square footage and or occupancy. And I have a copy of that. Can I give that to you now?
It's up to the chair, what do you want
Yep,
to
sure.
submit?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This was for the Board of Trustees. I have a copy here.
Well, I think, yeah, prior,
Yeah, it wasn't you guys, was it?
we were able to direct people to the board, but now, and then the board could always establish the fee. We never got involved in the fee.
So if you read the code, if an applicant cannot meet the parking requirement, they shall go to the Board of Trustees. It's not a referral. It's not an option. If you cannot meet the parking requirement, the code requires you to go to the Board of Trustees.
Right.
And notwithstanding any information that the applicant's representative is going to provide to this board, it's really not germane to this board. This board does not set the fee. The Board of Trustees sets the fee. On occasion, if the Board of Trustees asks the department for input, we would provide them input. In this case, we did provide input. We searched our records. We searched what the Board of Trustees had charged on other applications and provided that information with a recommendation that the last time they provided a PILOP fee was, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and we recommended that they consider an inflation fee on that last number. But we didn't give them a final number. We just said, here's the data, here's what you charged last time. It's been a long time. We suggested if you're going to charge this fee to put some sort of inflation number on that. And that was our recommendation with regard to this application.
So with that said, I understand that you guys don't set the fee, and Mr. Freeling and I had a conversation back and forth where he clarified some other points about the code. But the reason why this is relevant is because if you look at this resolution, here, I'll give it to you, Ray. If you look at this resolution, it's from March of 2020. Item number 13, which I have highlighted. Yeah, so the original PILOP code, I think, was created in 2018. Billy's 1890 was actually the one that was last taken in under that particular code, where they had paid the $6,500 per spot, but actually they didn't pay that in cash. They ended up negotiating to give a portion of the back lot of their property to the village in lieu of the payment in lieu of parking fee. That application I had done. The next application that came before the Board of Trustees, I believe, I think I don't think there's been many PILOPs throughout the years, so I'm not sure if there's been any others, but these are the two I were involved with. The second one was Fork and Fiddle. Fork and Fiddle then met with the mayor at the time and the Board of Trustees to ask them to reconsider basically the fee structure. So the resolution, which was from March of 2020, reads resolution to amend prior resolution number 15 approved at the June 18th, 2018 board meeting to reduce the pilot fee to $500 per necessary parking spot for projects that A, do not increase the square footage of the existing structure, and B, do not increase the occupancy of the structure. The fee and project requirements set forth in resolution number 15 of 6/18/18 meeting otherwise remains unchanged. So the whole point of me bringing this up tonight is because I believe that before we go to zoning board of appeals, we should perhaps, and I'll ask you, Mr. Freeling, if this is appropriate, write a letter to the board of trustees just revealing what has been discovered, because I don't think they were aware of this at the time when they reviewed our pilot piece. So I think the normal or the efficient course of action here would be to first go to board of trustees again, and then if that does not come to fruition for anything positive for us, then we would go to zoning board of appeals. I have my reservations about going to zoning board of appeals for this. We're going to be requesting relief of 17 parking spots. I don't even think I have to explain why why I think this would be an issue.
So I think, if I can respond for the board, you, the applicant, can go back to the Board of Trustees at any time you would like and appeal and ask to be reconsidered. If the Board of Trustees refers the matter to the planning board and asks for an update on the analysis, we can provide that. But I don't see the planning board voluntarily entering anything into their record of the Board of Trustees. So if you make your application to the Board of Trustees, it is totally up to them whether or not they'll make a re-referral back to the planning board for a recommendation.
Okay, no, that's
So-
fine. I just want to make sure we have the opportunity to do that. I'm just trying to exhaust all other remedies before we go to this, process of going to Board of Zoning Appeals, because that's a precedent-setting matter if they were to approve it, and from what I understand, the function of this code was to create a parking fund instead of just giving out variances, so that's all I have to say about that. So with that said, if you guys want, we can have Tom Volpes just approach, and he could just explain what the recent changes were, because when we did last leave off with you guys back in, I think it was November, the plan was we were going to go to apply for PILOT, and we were going to make the minor changes as per Tom M's recommendation, and then resubmit. So that's what carried us to this point today.
Okay, I think it'd probably be helpful if, Tom, if you come up and just, hit the highlights on what's coming in for review.
Yeah, and I'm just trying not to fall.
So just for the record, the staff has not had an opportunity to review these drawings?
Oh, this said he's, I think, bringing, I don't know, something up there.
I know I'm new here, knowing the building, thinking that they want to get fibers, keep those fibers, so parking spaces in front, they used to be the auto shop. There is a square space behind, why isn't parking, probably get 10 spaces back there?
Yeah, you don't have much, unfortunately, work area here, but you can put them on here if you need.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This is the prior that's up there now, I assume, right?
No, this
Prior.
is the electronic version of that. We just
Oh.
never received it.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, that helps. All right. You're on, he's on A2.
This area is going to be for dogs to run around.
Do you have a microphone for,
Have a hand
Tom?
up.
This is
Yeah,
going to be
you
the enclosed area.
Right now, this is all over.
Yeah, you can drive right in here.
Here we get 5 and 5 spots.
No, can't fit anything in there. It's okay. So the last set of
questions I had responded to really comes down to, I'll get over here, was the grade change from this enclosed area to where the dumpster was. We have a gate here. I think Tom was questioning, we have a 24-inch drop there. So this bubble, I changed all the elevations, so there's only one step down now. And I changed the elevations of the retaining wall to drop down. So we only have I can't really read it. I think it's like a foot or 18 inches grade difference there, as well as this side.
Other,
See that?
other changes?
No, I think that's all that, we had like 4 things, but that's the only plan change we had. And then there was something about drainage, but I think the drainage was already taken care of.
I don't know.
Very good. All right. Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
Thanks.
Want to give up your mic?
This is not constructed. If you saw it in the aerial, it looks like you could get spaces back.
I didn't change anything.
Yeah.
That's very tight.
Well, if you don't build this, you see the 5 spaces here?
Right.
So you could probably get maybe 6.
There is a grade change. It was the rear, I think, it would, the ability to, the aisle would be difficult to
Well,
make.
look at towers over here. They have 1, 2,
Right.
3, 4. You can use it.
This is the drive aisle,
Mhm.
so it's not in the drive aisle, with pinch points down, almost as narrow as a parking spot. If we're going to utilize this.
He's talking about trying to fit parking spaces.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be where they're going to.
But if they don't construct this, right?
You have to.
And this is just, if you go to the aerial,
This is existing. I don't know how you cannot non-construct that. It needs to be repaired.
Right.
It was a former loading dock. That's up to them what they want to do, but right now that was going to be an outdoor dog area.
Right, they need it.
I mean, again, I want to reiterate that nothing is going to work uptown if we require everyone to meet all of these parking calculations. We just had an application before us, brand new building, didn't meet their parking calculations. And here we are trying to make use of an existing building and we're requiring them to meet these parking calculations. I'm a little confused because to me, there's a great use for this building. Let's really try and make this happen.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
The planning board has no authority to waive parking.
No, and I get that.
They have to go to the ZBA.
Yeah.
Do it, well, Board of Trustees first.
Well,
But the
for,
Board of
or for an appeal, right? Those two,
back to the Board of
those are the two
Yeah.
options.
Two steps.
Right, 2 steps, one or the other.
Okay.
There's grade changes and retaining walls. It's not
We looked at like every option under the sun, including going next door, talking to
Yeah.
the folks to the north.
Shared parking next door didn't,
Yeah.
One thing that may want to be explored, and I don't know how that might work here, but if there could be a shuttle service. There could be a pickup of the pets, the animals, and they could be delivered here where there's not an impact to parking, vehicle traffic on Main Street.
So
You
we
wouldn't
do
be-
have that incorporated in the business,
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't
where
think,
we have a van.
Can
that
you-
will pick and drop.
can you send where you're going to be, a narrative in that, where you're going to be the pickup and drop off point's going to be where they can park it and give you the pets and then you can come and bring the pets to this facility?
What do you mean by that?
So you're going to meet your clients that own the pets somewhere.
Yes.
They're gonna park their car and bring you the pet.
Yes.
You're gonna take that in a shuttle van to this spot.
Oh, no, that's different.
Okay.
We were providing one that we moved to the house, the client's house, as long as they're within a certain amount of, mileage from.
Okay, can you send that
Similar.
business plan over and what
Absolutely.
you anticipate the number or volume that may be
Yeah.
incorporated with that?
Yes,
So my understanding, you're eliminating the drop-off then, the drive-through drop-off?
we can't eliminate the drive-off, drop-off. We're just adding more possibilities for people to come.
Like a drop-off pickup service?
Yes.
So in addition to,
Change the issues on the drive.
No, driver's license. Both. You know.
Okay.
We've been looking at this for a while, so.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, we'll,
I'm trying to figure.
we'll see what happens with the Board of Trustees. And, if you need to go to the zoning board as well. Okay. All right, thank you. Good night. All right. Next up is 116 West Broadway. Well.
So quickly, it would be a nothing now. It would be so fast. That's what we need. Get the denial and go to this, that's good. Exhausted. All
You can come up here, yeah.
CBA. Definitely. The village attorney must have told them.
We just watch out
They
for the
need to do
cords,
it that way.
8,000 cords here, it's like.
Because that's what code says.
But it's kind of redundant.
It should be.
You submitted these? Oh, so they, well, yeah. Deirdre has them.
Yes.
Put 'em up on that.
We can make a recommendation.
My what? Yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay,
Seriously.
thank you.
You need these then, or?
Hmm?
Do you need these?
You know, you already started on something else.
I don't know if we need them, I don't know.
Ray,
Lee just has.
you know, one thing that the planning board can do is, it seems like there's there's not a disconnect. There's a technical issue with the code, the legislation with regard to going for a pileup. That you have to, exhaust all possibilities. And I think that's the hangup here. There is, or the other, I guess, remedy would be to go to the zoning board, which they haven't done yet.
Right.
So we could consider making a recommendation as a planning board to loosen that up.
Okay.
That legislation. If we think it's, something that we're running into a lot in our report.
Yes.
Back in the day.
But you can't, so you have to make,
So
planning board would have to make a
they looked at it.
recommendation.
Right, but the zoning board the Board of Trustees has to ask us to make a
They have to
recommendation.
ask us,
Yeah, I think so. Andy-
Is that
Andy
right?
knows more specifically.
Or
we can't. We
Jim
can't.
might. The question is, does the Board of Trustees have to, ask us?
Ask the planning board in order to make a recommendation, or can the planning board make a recommendation for a change to code? For a change of zone? No.
No, just in this particular case with the code issue of, we recommended they go to the village board. Yeah, in the one we were just talking about. But you can do it on a general case. So we recommended that they go to the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees says for a pileup.
Right.
Board of Trustees says, legitimately so, you have to exhaust all
Right.
remedies. Rather than going back to
The ZBA,
ZBA,
well, going back
Go
to
to
the
the
ZBA.
board. Well, then we-
Or going back to the board for something, I mean,
I
the,
wouldn't advise them to go back now. I would advise them to exhaust their remedies. They
Right.
go back to the board, the first thing the board's gonna say is, did you go to the ZBA?
but
Did you
that's
go to
what
the
I think, that's
ZBA?
what we just
Say no.
told Amy. I mean, that's the only reason I'm bringing it up. It's-
but it's a bit of a non-starter going to the ZBA. You don't,
They've
you-
got
but then they
five
have-
tests to meet.
but then
I
they
can
have
make
that in their
arguments
hand.
where
Yeah.
They
Maybe.
may get an approval from the ZBA.
maybe,
They're not gonna change the character of the community,
Right.
right? Is it self-created? You could argue one way or the other. Is it, do they have a economic return without doing this project?
no.
You can make an argument they can't. This is their only model.
Right.
So they could make an argument to the ZBA, and if they got the approval, end of story. If they got denied, they go back to the Board of Trustees saying, we exhausted our administrative remedies. Unfortunately, the issue is in your lap.
Right.
But it's not a planning board issue,
No,
because you don't
Right.
even have the choice to make the recommendation. It
Right.
says they shall go. So,
I was just asking whether there was this way
No.
to streamline that step where, you know, either they go directly back to ZBA or, you know,
I think
the
technically
board
they could.
has to make a decision, not us, the board
The
of
planning board
trustees.
could refer it to the ZBA if you want. I think you can.
I don't see
I just
why
feel
the
these-
planning board
But,
would.
no, I'm not saying you don't have to. I think that you have, I mean, the question posed to me was whether the planning board can. I said, yeah. Under town law, I think the planning board has to refer those matters to the zoning board. I think that's contained within the.
I know we've done it in the past.
Yeah, no,
but-
it's,
Do we
yeah.
refer it to the ZBA with what? A letter of recommendation with supporting information, or just?
No, just a-
here's an
Yeah,
application.
just tick it over. You could, I
Yeah.
mean, if you wanted to, but also
done that in the
applicant,
past,
applicant
yeah.
can make a separate application too.
They just-
Here, it's probably pretty streamlined, right?
Well, the ZBA,
Application fee anyway.
irrespective,
should.
you know, we're in a, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna, if they want us to talk about establishing a fee, that's something they do before the board of trustees. We're just, I'm just,
Back.
oh,
There's an
okay.
application fee to go to the ZBA.
Oh,
Whether
okay.
you refer it, or whether the applicants go on their own. So
Right.
you have to prepare an application to the ZBA.
Right.
Correct.
The fee.
Understood.
So I'm just trying to rationalize. I'm sorry, I'll take that.
Fine.
I'm just trying to rationalize why you would make the recommendation to the ZBA. They've been referred to the ZBA by the Board of Trustees. It's clear in the minutes, it's clear in the record.
Okay.
They're supposed to go to the Board of Trustees. They're choosing not to make the application to the Board of Trustees. Now they're at their own peril. If I went back to the Board of Trustees, I'm sorry, to the ZBA, if I went back to the Board of Trustees, after they told me to go to the ZBA, what would the Board of Trustees tell me? Why didn't you go to the ZBA?
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
got it.
But it wouldn't be, well, okay. I was just trying to maybe close a gap, so
Yeah.
this thing's
Trying
been
to
kicking around.
expedite.
Yeah, just trying to move it up a little bit, that's all, whatever, yeah. Yeah,
In this village, it probably doesn't streamline much because it's not too arduous to make an application to ZBA and get on a calendar pretty quickly.
Correct.
yeah.
So it's not-
It's not hard.
yeah. I mean, that's the only advantage really from the planning board.
I mean,
Something like that.
I mean,
The
either
only
way,
confusing thing is that they come to planning for the application to go to the ZBA. So therefore, they think, well, let me go to the planning.
right.
We're
Right,
just a conduit for the application.
okay.
Clear enough?
Nope.
Instead,
But maybe,
all good.
I mean, maybe they should have gone to the ZBA first before they did anything,
Yeah.
you know,
It's been, yeah.
Maybe.
maybe.
All right. Okay. This is 116 West Broadway for anybody in the audience or anybody watching. It's the Perry office building that's under construction essentially across the street from Village Hall.
Okay, so we're just proposing three minor modifications to the site. On the west side of the property, we're proposing a few HVAC units, condensing units, and heat pumps that are clouded there on the west side. The The entire property is gonna have the post and rail fence that's consistent throughout the entire parking lot. It's gonna match where everywhere else is. And then a modification to add a generator, and we put that behind the dumpster enclosure. And that would be lifted up to be above the 12-foot FEMA height regulation. So it'll be about 4 feet above the ground. It'll be enclosed with a 6-foot fence. And so it's going to stick up above there, approximately 5 feet tall. So, that's pretty much all we're proposing today.
5 feet above?
Above, so it's 9 feet tall, because it has to be 4 feet off the ground for FEMA, and the unit itself is 5 feet tall. So 9 feet total.
6-foot fence on the 4-foot concrete enclosure. Is that allowed?
We were proposing a 6-foot fence that goes around. If we want to raise that or provide some other screening, we're open to it. If you want us to paint the generator a specific color, sky blue or something like that, we're open to that. So just,
Proposing a 6-foot fence on top of the 4-foot.
no, at grade, 6 foot at grade, so people can access into the generator area, unsolicited.
So is it allowable to put the 6-foot fence starting on top of the 4-foot enclosure, so you get 4 feet back screened?
If anything, I would suggest putting in a taller fence. You don't want somebody to be able to get underneath it.
Well, no, the fence would be on the concrete enclosure. I'm just suggesting.
No, it's just gonna be open, like steel dunnage. It's just gonna be, you're gonna be able to get underneath the generator. It's not gonna be a 4-foot tall concrete pad. It's just gonna be steel dunnage.
What kind of generator is it? What fuel? Is it a gas? Is it
It's gonna be,
gas? Okay, so then where does the gas, where are the pipes gonna go? Where's all that happening? Okay.
Since it's going to be on the north side, correct?
Yeah.
Highly visible from the parking lot by the harbor.
Correct.
I kind of would like to see it have some kind of a wraparound, so we don't just see a generator sticking up out of the sky,
Right.
It's
Just to clarify, this is the north side here. This is going to be along the west side.
Correct.
There is a parking lot here, without any question, but that's all I wanted, just so you know. It makes a difference. I think it's a good idea to try and screen it and hide it. If you can maybe put something over the dunnage that would encase it to keep people from, so you could put your fence on top of the dunnage.
Right.
Yeah.
So, just to clarify, so with the HVAC equipment, we're not required to put them at the FEMA height, so we're keeping that down low, so that we're trying to keep the aesthetic of the area. So the generator is really for,
Oh, that's the one. I apologize.
yeah, this is the generator here. This is gonna be down low, about 1 foot high, so it'll be below the windows. There's actually a elevation here that shows that the equipment against the building will be lower. And then the generator is basically just to operate the essential equipment for the ferry.
You have a rendering of what the generator is going to look like?
It's I can send something, a sketch over, but it's just
Just a regular
just a
generator?
yeah, just
Take an existing photograph and then render in so the board can understand what it would look like above the fence.
sure.
Do you know how loud it is?
It's not only when it's on,
Yeah,
it's
but they go on, generally they go on.
This is a
once
spec
week,
for
once
it.
a month,
And
Right.
this is the
automatically
sound
to make
attenuated
sure that
portion.
they're working.
Yeah, it's new equipment, so it's only 100 kilowatts, so it's not. I don't think it's gonna be, like a lawnmower in the back. It's probably
Eric.
gonna have a small hum to it.
Is that generator just for the new building,
Yeah.
period?
Yes.
But But it's only going to be used in emergencies.
Correct.
But they
But they go on once a month.
or
But
once a week.
Once a
week
week.
for tests.
But you can control the time that happens?
Yes.
Any restrictions that the board seems to want to impose, we're fine with it. We just want to have the safety of being able to operate the equipment if we have any troubles.
So you're right.
Is there any reason you can't put the generator closer to the building where at least half the building would be screened halfway and you wouldn't need the
Right.
4-foot concrete pad over here because it wouldn't be in the FEMA area?
Right, so there are distances that you have, clearances that you need to have for it. We just felt that that was the most appropriate. If you want us to investigate other locations, we're open to it. There are clearances that it needs to have from operable windows and things, so we may have to modify the facade for glass and things to not be like immediately adjacent to it.
Do your proposed 4 heat pumps?
They meet the requirements.
They meet the requirements?
Yes.
So, but this requirement only looks like a couple of feet.
Yeah, that, there's a different
What is
requirement.
the generator requirements?
I thought it was 10 feet, but.
You're looking that up. We need comments from Town of Brookhaven.
Yes, just because of the height and because it's just adjacent to the town of Brookhaven lot, I just want to kind of get their comments if they have any questions about it, or especially if there's going to be screening around it. The concern is with the screening is that right now the fence it would screen from the parking lot, but you kind of have a direct line of sight from West Broadway. So I don't know if the board would want screening around the whole entire generator and then making sure it doesn't look like just a random monolith out in the parking lot. That's also might be a concern.
Right.
So it's something to take into consideration, but we will get comments from Town of Brookhaven about that as well, especially with the screening.
So it looks like it's 68 inches. So
5.7 feet,
on top of a 4 foot.
yes.
That's
So it'd need a 10-foot fence.
10.
Aren't there more linear,
It would be
linear
showing about 4 feet
units
above the
that,
fence. Am I reading
A
that
little
right?
less, yeah, but
that don't go so
'cause
high?
I think it's a
just go
6-foot fence.
Wider. I mean, that's really high. It's a big generator.
I'm not seeing it here, the specs, I believe it was 10 feet. This was what the engineer had spec, and I can get back to you and see if there is a different profile that could reduce the height a little bit. It's just, the whole project, we've been under the same, we have the FEMA height
Yeah.
that, is restricting us and, so
Yeah.
we're trying to, and then if you guys want me to investigate, this area is gonna be taken by the septic system, so I can't do anything over here, but
Right.
if you wanted me to propose something over there, but again, I'd have to verify, the clearances first.
Yeah, and if you do something like that, you definitely have to make sure that you have some sort of a ballast or something, Ballard?
Ballard.
Thank you.
Ballard.
That goes to make sure that no car can,
Over here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even here, I'm
Well,
interested.
this would be on a 4 foot high
But,
platform.
it's not on a platform, it's on, they're basically columns
Right.
holding it up.
Well, it would be on basically steel
Hit
rails.
everything.
Right,
That's a perfect spot.
but it's not a,
But
I
then
don't
there's
think it's
also
a-
a concrete block trash enclosure that's gonna be in front of it.
Okay.
And there'll be, so that'll be fully protected.
Okay.
Where it is.
yeah.
But you have to raise it 4 feet over here. Over here, perhaps only 1 foot.
That's 4 feet over there.
The whole zone it's all flood
The
zone.
whole zone is 4 feet.
The first floor of the building is 4 feet, so it's matching that.
But these only have to go up on a 1 foot concrete pad.
Right, because so they lose a little bit of insurance money because they're not providing it at the plane elevation, but they made a conscious decision it'll look better down below, and the equipment that they're trying to protect would be okay without if the heating and AC went down.
What about putting it inside of some kind of enclosure? The generator
Like
itself.
below ground?
No,
Or
no.
just building another structure?
Yeah. A shed, right?
Shed would have to be 10 or 12 feet high.
Right.
It'd still
No, I
have
know.
to be the same height, but
Yeah, but aesthetically, it might be better than having a 9-foot high fence.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a faux looking building.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
right.
Are you allowed to put this type of generator on the roof of the building?
we don't have a flat roof. There's no, we can't
no
put it on
flat
the
roof.
roof.
Yeah, it's fine up there.
Where, again, I'm sorry if I missed it, this is gonna be gas or diesel fed. Where is the tank for this?
It's,
all gas,
everything's
natural
under the
gas.
ground. We have gas in the building.
Natural gas.
We have a gas meter over here, and the piping is just gonna be fed over there.
So it's piped from the town. You're not doing your own individual.
No, we have our own gas meter. We have, this building is getting a gas
Yep,
meter
yep,
right
there are the
here.
gas lines. I'm saying you're not having your own individual tank.
It's natural gas.
It's just that you want to make it, I don't know if you can make something that tall and conspicuous, but you want to make it pretty.
Right.
So that might be a
It would,
good
I mean, it would
compromise.
also help with the soundproofing. It's another thing it would help with.
I can talk to them and see what we can do for that. And get something back to you. Is there any questions or is there any issues with the HVAC equipment, or is that okay? Because we're getting close.
Where was it before?
So it wasn't presented before because we didn't have it at the time we were at the last planning hearing. So we were trying.
Sorry.
No, so it wasn't, we were still designing the building. It was preliminary designs when we were going through this, and it was just never presented because we never had gotten to that level. So,
That's like an
well, it was, so originally we were gonna do or we weren't gonna do it outside. We were gonna try and do it in the attic, but it just didn't work out where we couldn't fit the equipment. And so we didn't have the building fully engineered when we had gone through that. So the consideration was for it to be in the attic, but it just space-wise, it just didn't work out when we had to squish. We had to go back for the variance to squish the equipment and things like that. And then looking in real space, there wasn't space to get that number of units in the attic because we have the elevator goes up into the attic space and there's just no space. So that was the initial, again, before we had fully engineered the building. Because we were going for all the variances and planning and everything, it just, so.
Perhaps you could take a look at placing this somewhere over here, redesigning the lot ever some, where it's still 10 feet away, but it's closer to the building, so it's been shielding from the West Broadway.
We were looking into trying to put it over there, the clearances were just not, we weren't able to get everything over there with the
This is
clearances.
to be 10 feet from the building.
From 10 feet from an operable window, or it includes protecting the building in some other way.
So if you maybe rearrange this slightly, you could put it over here, it'd be 10 feet away. It could be shielded from West Broadway on your 4 feet. So even if it stuck up a few feet above the fence, you would only see it from this way. You wouldn't see it from West Broadway.
I think you'd still need clearances, like the 20 feet with the parking, and putting it where it is now maximizes the use of the parking space with the dumpster. It would just take up another parking space that they need on the site. So I believe that's
Right,
probably
we-
comes into
What
account
about
that.
maybe then put the dumpster over here? So you don't see it straight
The
through.
truck would have difficulty to get to it, yeah.
Truck, yeah.
I just want to note that if it will be sent, if it will have like a faux container around it, I don't know if that's something you want to send to the ARC, and that could also just to help streamline, have them have input with it if they
Once we get
want
it,
to look at. But if that's the route, then we can kind of know that ahead of time. And
I think
Whatever
that's a
makes
good
sense.
idea to look into that.
Yeah.
And they're pretty quick with comments usually.
And then did we want screening for these? Some sort of
These
screening?
guys?
Yeah. Isn't
It
there a-
didn't, on the, you had the side view up there, right? With the different drawing, the next drawing? They don't look that,
How high are they? They're not very
no,
high.
they're not high at all. I mean, it's in perspective on the,
So they're 3'9" tall and then 1 foot off the ground. So
I
they're,
mean, they're not,
But that's, I mean, you're driving into town, this is what you're gonna see. As you drive, am I wrong here?
No, you're right. You're right. When you're
So
coming in from
this
the west
is-
side.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but there's gonna be a
got a,
6-foot
There's a
fence
fence
against
there,
it, so
yeah.
they might be okay.
I forgot the fence.
There's the
So there
landscaping
is
plan as
screening.
well.
Laura, behind you is a rendition.
So coming straight,
There's a fence.
coming
Yeah, there's a
in,
fence there.
there's still a fence.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
thank
good.
you.
They're good.
That's all.
Yeah. All right. So do you need the HVAC now, I guess?
right, the HVAC would be nice to
And you could
get the approval. I can
play
come back
around
with,
with the generator.
right.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Are we okay with the HVAC? Our staff would have to weigh in too, right?
Yeah, the HVAC didn't seem like it had any issues. It was only on a 1-foot platform. It's fenced. It was more so the generator in the back corner that,
Is it a solid fence or is it a chain link with slats?
it's the post. I think it's noted
Well,
on
we
the other
had, yeah,
drawing.
we were going with the posts and it wasn't really a screened fence. It was. So the post and rail fence that is consistent throughout the whole parking lot. But again, there's gonna be cars here, there's gonna be, so if you want it screened, we can, okay, so we can screen it on the pad. That's,
I mean, around
Why don't
the,
you just do it on the, where's the fence,
it's on the
proposed
property
fence?
line.
Can you show us an image of what the post and rail fence should look like? around the whole
Why
block?
can't you just,
yeah.
yeah, why don't you just do,
I don't think I have that.
fence there and then continue with your
I don't have the
other
post and rail
fencing?
fence.
From a security standpoint, it's generally for buildings like this, it's good to screen your HVACs from, I don't wanna say thieves and idiots.
Yeah.
The drunk.
That's true.
So, yeah, so we can put,
Strike that from the record.
yeah, we can put screening on the pad.
Something.
All right.
There's no way to maybe reorganize this where if it's possible to put, you could put the dumpster and the generator here and the truck could back
I mean,
this way.
there's just not enough room. We've
not got
kind
so many
of, we spent so many, a lot of hours trying to get through, and that's the only spot that the carting company said that they could get to. Right.
What about leaving the dumpster here? I see you have some space here and reorganize this where you don't lose parking, the generator, turn it, put it over here.
Same
But at
problem.
least you don't see it straight through.
Well, you see it the other way.
We put a
Yeah, if you put it there, Dan, you'd see it if you're driving east on,
I understand, beautification, that'd be 10 feet tall.
Right.
Godzilla statue.
I can,
If you could
That would be fun.
submit something on the screening for
yep,
this?
yeah. Is there something you would like to see?
Yeah.
like, do we want to?
More like
Certain
white
fence,
picket fence or something, like the vinyl, like a vinyl
I've
picketed
forgotten
fence?
what the facade of the building, it would match whatever the siding of the building.
Match that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so it's the,
Yeah, the building itself, they do.
yeah, match this, I guess.
Okay,
Maybe ask them about the fence.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, if you could get something into staff on that,
Okay.
you could forward it to us. That will be a quicker decision than the other one.
Okay. Anything else?
That's good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for.
You guys remember we had the cranes on the waterfront about 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Those white cranes.
so many
Yeah.
years.
That back in the generator.
If they could find Thomas Jefferson.
Thank you.
That black.
Thank you.
They actually lost it.
Thank you.
Did they?
I thought they.
Are you saying they lost it?
What's the statue of Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah, before 9/11.
Right, so
Yeah.
then all of a sudden he's gone.
They have the eagle, right?
Right.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
You're supposed to have surgery.
Oh.
Oh.
Tony, I was going to introduce you to the board.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know he probably doesn't need a mic either.
This is, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is an application from Port Development LLC. This is the application of 1 North Country Road. The applicant is before you today to amend the 3923 resolution. They would like to make some minor adjustments to the plan. Staff at first thought that we could do these internally, but because there was an amendment to the resolution, we thought that you would want to take a look at it, obviously. The proposals, I think, are minor.
It's on the other side. So this is what's existing. And what we did here when we had this approved was we had to pay for 1 parking space. Under the proposal, we paid for the 1 parking space, and we're proposing to convert this to 2 bedrooms, and we need 44 and a half spaces, and we have 45 with the one that we purchased, which is what I'm going to show you on the other side. So we modified it. We had several plans with the planning department, and we all agreed that this worked better because the rubbish here, a truck pulling in and out, was easier than trying to curve in. We added some more landscaping, and we converted this to 2 bedrooms, and we still maintain the parking ratio that we need. And that's the only change to the whole property.
And your farm still,
Excuse me?
the FAR is still.
Everything's the same.
Your unit count's the same?
No,
No.
the building is still 53,104 square feet. Nothing changed.
Same unit
Just
count?
an extra 2-bedroom. Instead of one bedroom's converted to 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
That's the only change.
What happened to those 2 parking spaces? Did you redistribute
We
them?
redistributed, if you go back, sorry, if you go back, they're all in here, and we changed it all around because in sitting with planning, we came up with much better plan.
Yeah, this looks like a better
Okay? Yeah, we came up with a much better plan. It was redistributed, it works out better, it lays out better, and you have more landscaping also.
Find more demand for 2 bedrooms now?
No,
No?
still
Just-
1 bedrooms.
Okay.
And believe it or not, this particular property, I'm inundated with phone calls.
Really?
People think this is the best thing that happened to the village. Yeah, and you know I've built many buildings here. This is the one that I get, and they're yelling at us, why is the building ready to rent? You know, I'm just starting to sheet rock the inside. And they're wondering, well, it's done outside. When can we move in? It's unbelievable the demand we have with this building.
Is it the view of the harbor?
The ones that are curved over here, these guys, amazing views. Amazing views.
They all want to be on the north
They
side.
all want to be there. They all want to be there. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Sorry to wait so long.
Any questions? No? Appreciate your time and effort. All right? Good seeing everybody. Thank you.
Same here.
All right?
Sorry you had to
Stay
wait so
well.
long.
Good luck with the finishing. the
All right,
construction.
thank you. I hope you like the way it's coming out.
It is.
It looks great.
Thank you.
Very happy.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Oh, you broke the
Yeah.
mic.
Good night.
Good night.
It's just, I can't do that now.
He has said that for many years, that 1 bedroom.
What's on the back here? It was a-
Well, so there was a resolution for
Okay.
this. The only thing that changed is in the decision, it says 28 1-bedroom, 7 2-bedroom. And on the back, it's just showing a new revision date for the 2 plans that changed. But- Sorry, really quick before the next.
So Deirdre, you underlined just the differences, the changes, okay.
What's underlined is just the differences, yeah, and then we'll just have those two plans be the ones that are stamped and added to the previously approved plans.
Okay.
That's easy.
Yeah, that's why I was like, let's not read the whole thing, because we've read it.
That's just a change on page 1. Bottom of page 2. Only things that are underlined.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as amended.
I'll second. Aye.
5 million. Okay. And last but not least, we have a referral. Last but not least, we have a referral from the town of Brookhaven for addition of 8 dwelling units at north side of Comsawog Road at just west of Sheep Pasture Road in Setauket. It's within it's within 500 feet, I think it is, to the village boundary, so that's why we're getting a request for comments. I think, do we have maybe just bring up the proposed plan?
It's on its
Would
way.
be easy, yeah.
It's like we're sandwiching it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. Squeezing it in between 2 buildings. No, so- Yeah, that's pretty good, right?
It's these buildings along here. It's just an empty greenfield right now. I can pull up the area.
And are the other buildings, are they already there or they're building them now? They are already. I was going to say, what a great view and that's down there.
So it's in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Will there be plantings to take the place of the trees, like a nicer buffer or a nice buffer?
I'm not sure if they supplied us with the landscaping.
But they just want from us,
Yeah,
Those
Overall.
buildings on Marco Drive, that's not the village though, right? That's still Setauket.
this is all Port Jeff Station, so it's all town of Brookhaven. Village line is on the north side of the property with the railroad.
This is the landscaping plan, so it is showing trees that will be outside of the residences, a little bit of plantings, it seems like.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in the village can see this from their property.
Okay, that was my question, yeah.
They'd have to look over the track probably. Track's probably elevated.
Real, consideration is traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 8 units is,
Yeah.
in addition to what's there, it's minimal traffic. I know a lot of it's going west or northwest anyway from the site as opposed to east to the village. Probably,
Consistent with what's there.
yeah.
Wonder if any of these are for workforce or affordable.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your referral, but the planning board has no comments.
Yeah, I would say that's appropriate.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's for sale. No, it's
I'm sorry?
It's rental.
Oh, I don't know.
Rental.
Yeah, I don't know the name.
Yeah.
Rental.
Yeah, I think it broke. We gotta get back. It's on the bill. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Which did you want us to take home?